Short-term rentals like Airbnb can be very profitable thanks to the concept of rental arbitrage. But what do the numbers look like? With our easy-to-use calculator, you can find out. Let's take a look. So say you want to rent out an apartment in downtown LA near the sports stadium Staples Center for tourists, and it's also near a central business district for business travelers. As you can see here, we have the Learn Airbnb Financial Calculator, which will take into consideration different costs and income assumptions and give you a financial analysis of your rental unit. The first thing we're going to look at is startup costs, such as furniture, appliances, security deposit, and different things for separate rooms. So say you have some furniture already in storage, you don't need to buy brand new for everything. Say you're going to spend about $1,500 on that. Next, say you're going to get the appliances. You're going to have to get a TV, a fridge, and maybe you want to get a workstation, for your business guests to sit at and do their work. So say you spend about $800 on that. Security deposit, we'll just assume something around $750 for that. For the bedroom, you're going to have to buy sheets, curtains, and decor. We'll bank in about $150 into the budget for that. A side note, when you're buying sheets and towel sets, make sure you buy multiple sets. You don't want to have to do laundry immediately after a guest departs from your rental unit. You want to have multiple sets so you can rotate them. As a guest leaves, you take off the dirty stuff, put on new clean sheets, and then maybe once a week you do laundry. For the bathroom, towel sets, disposable toiletries, mats, shower curtains, you can budget about $75 for that. And then the kitchen, you want to get plates, utensils, maybe coffee, tea, and other different decor items. I'll budget about $75 for that. Another thing you want to bank in is rent contingency. So what that is that how long will you need to set up your rental unit before someone can actually rent and use your unit? We have it over here in months. We will say that we can get this unit together in about 4 weeks, so we'll say 1 month. And this will be multiplied by our monthly lease rate, which is down here. We'll get to that in 1 second. You may also want to add in some other costs. Say maybe since it's for a business guest, we want to get a printer, fax, and scanner. It's going to be $350, and we can put a little note that it's from Amazon.com, so remember where you got the quote from. Another thing, say you want to get some special pots and pans for your guests. So we'll put that in here. Say you're going to spend $100 on that, and you saw the deal at Kohl's. You want to make sure that your guests have the correct things to cook with and they feel at home. So it's going to be about $5,800 in total startup costs. The next thing you're going to want to look at is the recurring monthly costs. So what are you going to be spending every month to keep this unit? The first thing is going to be the monthly lease. So what are you paying to rent this? So we'll say we're getting it for about $1,850. It's a deal downtown. Utilities, about $125 a month. The cable, the internet, we'll say it's about $75 a month. Parking, it's downtown Los Angeles. It can cost a little bit more, so we'll say about $100 for that. Our laundry fee, we won't say that it's a monthly recurring cost. Some units do have that, so that's why we built it into this, but we won't have a monthly recurring cost for laundry. So keep the unit running. It's going to be about $2,100 a month, as you see right here, $2,150 to be exact. Then you're going to want to take into consideration recurring costs per stay. So every time a guest comes, what's it going to cost you? We're going to be using a maid service. It's going to be a little bit cheaper than $80. We found one for $50, we'll say. Consumables, we'll say it's about $15. And then you can also add in here other things, little recurring costs. Say you have like a card you put out for every guest, or you have fresh flowers for every guest. You put that something in. We'll just put say flowers in for every guest. And say it costs you $10 every time. So these are the total recurring costs per stay. The next thing you want to take into consideration is what are you going to actually have as revenue for this unit? We're going to have to think about, well, how many days per month will we lease this thing up? So, downtown LA is a high demand area. We'll say we can get it about 26 days a month leased up. This average daily lease rate, this is going to be calculated over here in the weekday and weekend rates. So you won't charge the same amount for a weekday as you would for a weekend. So we built that into this model. For downtown LA, a weekday rate, say about $100, and then weekend, special events going on, maybe we can get about $160 a night. The average stay, we'll say, is about 3 nights. The Airbnb hosting fee is going to be 3%. Cleaning fee, we'll say it's going to be $50 because we're not going to overcharge our guests. We want to just charge it straight through. And then tax reserve, we're going to build in a certain percentage of our money is going to be set to the side. Some cities like San Francisco are actually collecting fees in 2015, just like they do for hotels. So it's better to be safe than sorry. Put this money away up front so you don't have to come up with it later. Another cool thing we built into this is a ramp-up pricing assumption. So when you get a new unit, you can't charge full market rate right away. You need to build up your profile, getting reviews, getting stays, getting feedback on your different rental unit. So we'll say it takes about 3 months to get to our full market rate, which is right here. And we're going to take an initial discount off of this price of 25%. Last but not least, how much time is it going to take you to actually run this unit? We built that into here so you can get an average hourly rate for your time. So we'll say it takes about 2 hours to communicate with the guests, coordinate, get the booking secured, check guests in and check guests out. The next thing you're going to want to look at is admin hours. So things you have to do that are not specific to each stay. Like say you have to go pay your rent. You go down there to check on it at least maybe once a week just to drive by. Maybe it's out of your way, so you take that time into consideration as well. We can say you do this in about 6 hours a month. You're getting pretty good at it. You don't have to go down there a lot. So on average, you use about 23 to 24 hours a month to run your Airbnb unit. On the next sheet, we'll see how this will look for you financially. What are your net rents? What will be your expenses for the month? And then you can also look at what's your cash flow and how fast will you get paid back and how much money will you make per hour and per month. As you see here, we have a financial analysis that takes into consideration all of the inputs from our prior worksheet. From the input assumptions sheet, we said that the ramp-up pricing schedule would take 3 months to achieve 100% market rate, and that's what is seen in this line here. The initial investment was $56.50, and this is the gross rental revenue if it was rented out for 30 days a month at the average rental rate between the weekday and weekend. The cleaning fee collected is this right here, the $433 for every month. Next, we have to take into consideration vacancy. So we set up here that this is going to be the most amount of money we could make with the average rental rate between weekday and weekend. So it's 30 times that rate. Now, if you said it would only be leased up for 26 of those days, so there's 4 of those days that we have to actually not consider income for. So what we do is just take 4 divided by 30 and multiply it by this gross rental revenue. This is the possible revenue most that we could have per month. And that's what vacancy is. The Airbnb hosting fee is also a fee that we pay to Airbnb to allow us to actually conduct our business on their platform. So the adjusted gross revenue is going to be $2,641 for the first month, and it will grow for every other month going forward and will stabilize after month 3. The next section to look at is the expenses. So we had the monthly lease, utilities, internet, parking, laundry, maid services, consumables, and even the flowers we spoke about are built into this model. So it'll give you a total expenses per month right here as well. The next you're going to want to look at is the net rents. So what are you actually netting out after all the expenses are taken away? What do you actually get to walk away with? Pre-tax. Next is the tax reserve is built in. So what is 14% of $14? It's around $2. So the next thing we'll look at is net rents post-tax. So we'll just take $14 that we get net of the rents and then take the $2 tax away. You're left with $12. And we'll look at the yield on your investment. So for the first month, you're not going to have much of a yield because you're still working on building up your pricing schedule. But as you see, you hit the 100% market rate, you're going to get about an 11% return every month, which is a pretty handsome rate. And the next you're going to look at is your cash flow statement. So before you get any rents, you're going to have a negative cash flow of $5,600. And going forward, these are the cash flows you have per month. You can see that it matches the net rents post-tax. The last thing we're going to look at is the investment payback balance. So you spent $56.50, you made $12, and we're going to assume you put all this money back into paying back your investment balance. And it will deduct every month until you reach a certain month where there is no balance anymore. This is not something you have to do, but it's just why not pay your bills off as fast as you can so you don't have to worry about them. The next thing we'll look at is our returns in our return dashboard. So here you'll see the returns dashboard. The top section is the payback and break-even periods. So our investment of $56.50 will be paid back within 11 months for this specific example, and we will break even cash flow wise in month 1, as you can see here. The next section you'll see is our monthly yields. We have our dollar amount as well as our percentage amounts here. So last but not least, we'll look at our stabilized monthly cash flow and our effective rate per hour. So on our input assumption sheet, you saw that how many hours are you going to be putting into this actual unit? We came up with 23 1/3 hours. We saw from the financial analysis that our stabilized monthly cash flow is going to be $645 a month. So divide 645 by 23 1/3, and you'll see that our effective rate per hour is almost $28 an hour. This is a good statistic to compare your different rental units to. Some units they need more tending to than others. Maybe they're very difficult to get to, or they require a lot of maintenance. So here you'll be able to see what your returns are and what your rates are per hour, and help you actually analyze specific units against each other. As you saw, our Host Calculator features a customizable input assumption sheet that takes into consideration startup costs like furniture and rent contingencies, monthly recurring costs like rent and utilities and parking, per stay recurring costs such as maid service and consumables, and income assumptions like average daily lease rate and tax reserves. And we've also built in a ramp-up pricing strategy. And also, we took into consideration how much time will you spend hosting so you can get an effective hourly rate. It comes with a 24-month detailed financial plan, including income, expenses, net rents, cash flows, and the ramp-up pricing model. It has an easy-to-understand returns dashboard, and it has printer-friendly reports so that you can share it with your teammates. And it's built with Microsoft Excel, so you know it's very easy to use. So what can you earn? Get the Learn Airbnb Host Calculator and find out today. Best of all, it's free. All you have to do is visit learnairbnb.com and find this image on the right-hand side. Click it and get your copy of the Learn Airbnb Host Calculator and find out what you can be earning. We hope you enjoyed our videos, so subscribe to our channel to get more Airbnb hosting updates.